with Ike, Spike, and Fritz on a rainy May Friday. Ike, how you feeling, brother?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good, Brother Spike.
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah.
Thank God we were out at the Truist Championship yesterday, not today. So our feet would be wet being out there. But nevertheless, we are here and we're riding a sweep. We're riding a sweep of the Fightins. Jackie Baseball, got to be pretty happy today. Holla at your boy.
Yeah, I'm damn near on cloud nine. That was a big comeback win last night. Boys are back.
Yep.
Big series in Cleveland this weekend. It's exciting.
They're showing
they look
you.
like a real baseball team.
Yeah, they're showing you.
Yeah.
Especially after you gave up on them.
Never gave up on them.
You know what I found out from Mike today? They play golf in the rain. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I said if we were at Truist today, I was like, yeah, it would have been canceled. He's like, nope.
Well, they play for a little bit.
Okay.
They'll play through
Well,
it.
it has to be a down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it was a...
And it can't be lightning, obviously,
Right. Well,
because
yes.
then they could
Of
be
course.
electrocuted.
Of course.
We are in the city of Ben Franklin. I don't know if you heard the story
Yes.
of the key.
Yeah, I heard the story of the key and the kite. So Phil sweep the Rays.
Yeah.
Finally, we had a couple of
Finally get a
series.
sweep.
Finally get a sweep. They finally on the getaway day. And big win, too, because it was 5-1 in the sixth inning.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at Val. She's looking at me. She's like, hey, you want to put on a show? I was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to win this game. I come back. It's 7-5. Had to go back and watch the rest of the game this morning. I thought they were done for.
First off, why this morning? You didn't check the phone before you went to bed? You didn't check the
No,
phone
I
before you went
watched
to
the
bed?
end of the game, but I wanted to watch the
good.
7th, 8th, 9th.
Good,
Yeah. No, I saw the end of the game last night. I just didn't see the 7th.
No, you gave
8th,
up
9th.
on them, I know.
I did. I gave up. Well, I want to spend some quality
We
time.
all did. Yeah.
But Phil's now 22-15, only a game and a half behind the Mets. Who would have guessed a couple weeks ago at this point that we would have been a game and a half behind the Mets, 22-15, feeling good. The one thing, even Bohm starting to hit a little bit, hitting over 300, I think his last 7 or 8 games.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, I'm not telling anyone. Trust me. I'm the last person to talk about that. But the one guy who's still probably not performing in a way that we're used to is Bryce. And, it is as far as OPS is concerned, it's the worst start of his career. His OPS at 771. He's got his career 901. So at May 9th, his entire career, the only time he's been close was 2014. Ended up tearing a ligament in his thumb, and I think at this point had only played 20 games and hadn't played the last 2 weeks anyway. And I think we've seen some signs of him battling his way out of it, but I don't know that it is just the start here if you're talking about how concerned you are about the play, because it was also the second half of last year. And I think, it's similar to Bohm. When we were talking about Bohm's poor start to this year, it wasn't just the start of the year, it was that he didn't really play well in the second half of last year. So the question being, and Jack, I'll go to you first, and to you if you're listening, 215-592-9494, is how worried are you about the slow start from Bryce Harper? Again, it's not just it is the slowest start of his career, and I haven't added up, the All-Star break until the end of the year. But I think if you were to add up the last 162 games, it probably wouldn't be very Bryce-like. So, Jack, I will actually start with you. How worried are you about Bryce?
So I'm not. I think it's just a normal kind of. I think he's obviously, if this stretch happens in July, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's going through a bit of a midseason slump. I mean, you bring up last year, and he also was dealing with some minor injuries. I mean, he did hit over 300 in the last 2 months of the season. So it's not like he was flailing up there. He was actually worse in 2022, heading down the stretch run, and then got hot in the postseason. So, I think from the standpoint of Bryce, are we seeing a more watered down version of him? Are we seeing, is he lost that a couple of weeks ago talked about, has he lost that Superman cape? I think for a little bit, but I still think it's there, and I don't think he's cooked. And I think last night, if that ball just travels 2 more feet, we're probably not even having this discussion today. And that ball might have been dying in left field last night. We saw the Trey one. We might get to that coming up a little bit later. But I think that this is just it's just a slump, and I think he has looked more locked in the last week. I don't think he's looking like he doesn't want to be there like he looked before last Friday's show. I thought last Friday was an appropriate, what is going on with this guy? But I think that this week he has looked more locked in. He's not looking like a lost cause against some lefties. He did only have the one home run, but he's smoked a couple of baseballs. So I'm really not that concerned. I'm not really losing sleep over Bryce Harper. I think that he'll get hot. He'll get going. We'll look up in July, and we'll say, there he is. Do I think he's going to be batting 280 by July? No. I hope it's more like 265 and there's some more home runs. But overall, like, I sense it. I sense it from the city of, like, this guy's getting paid this much, and almost like we're back in year one of the contract with Bryce. And I'm a little surprised at the reaction to his start to the season when I think it just is a slump.
215-592-9494. Bryce Harper with the worst start of his career. How worried are you? Ike, where's your worry level? Let's set the worry levels at very worried, little worried, not worried.
Yeah, not worried at all. Not worried at all. For a lot of the reasons Fritzy just said. Listen, Bryce Harper will be okay by the time this thing gets to the crunch time of the season. Obviously, we don't like watching him go through what he's going through right now, but there's a lot of baseball left to be played. And you talked about 280. He will be at 280 plus when the season is over with. He just will. He'll be at 280 plus when the season is over with. He'll be somewhere between 25, 30 home runs. I mean, quite frankly, if you look at some of his numbers and you compare it to the rest of the team, now, obviously, we're comparing him to being Bryce Harper. So I think we would all agree he's not playing at the normal Bryce Harper level.
No, not at all.
But if we were just talking about being concerned, some of his numbers I'm okay with. On-base percentage, still pretty good. Close to 360. He's still getting walked. He's the second most walked guy on the team, right? Second in home runs on the team, right? Like I just think he's not super Bryce Harper right now. And the good thing for us is that the other guys have sort of stepped up so that when Bryce Harper finally does come around, he's going to be that jolt to the lineup that we need, much like I talk about with Alec Bohm. When you're doing what you're doing right now as the Phillies, and these two guys are hitting the way that they're hitting, you got to feel pretty good if you still believe that type of ability is still in both players. And I still believe that ability is still in both players. And so when we get to the thick of the season and second half of the season, hopefully they're playing their best baseball. Right now, the other guys are sort of shouldering the load. Schwarber is shouldering the load.
And they'll cool off, by the way.
Exactly. You know those guys are going to have their periods where they cool off, and that's where you're going to expect Bryce Harper and Alec Bohm to sort of pick up their end of this thing. We're still just a third of the way, if that, through this season. A lot of baseball still left to be played. Bryce Harper has been too good, too great his entire career for me to be concerned about him going through a little bit of a slump right now.
215-592-9494. How worried are you about Bryce Harper's slow start to the season? Now, you guys saying you're not worried at all, actually, I think you have to be a little. I wouldn't go very worried. That's not where I am. But a little worried, I think, is fair to say. And, Jack, one thing you said was last year, well, he was dealing with a bunch of injuries. But that's part of it. So to me, I think where I start to get worried is I look at the combination of age, injuries, and actually where the production is going down in. So he's 32 years old, been in Major League Baseball since he was 18, and it's not just one injury. It's it's back stuff, it's arm stuff, it's he had Tommy John surgery. It's a lot of stuff that builds up, especially the way that he plays. He plays the game really hard. So it's a combination of age, injury, and then when I look at the production, you're right. He's still getting on base. Mm-hmm. So I think he is a smart baseball player, and I think. The good thing is, even as his skills start to erode, I think he is smart enough to still be productive, right? Like his physical skills are going to erode at some point.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, that's everybody though.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's different. That's different for him for anybody. But this is when it starts happening. this is the age of when it starts happening. So the good thing, just let me finish. The good thing is, I don't think he is going to fall off a cliff. I don't think that we are in for a season where Bryce Harper hits 12 home runs and hits 235. I think he will find a way because he is smart to be productive enough.
Well, and that's
the difference is
what he did last year.
Yes, but he's getting on base, but that pop, that drive, that sort of explosion that you see from him when he's hitting, I feel like I haven't seen. And that's why I'm a little worried. It's just a combination of age, injury.
You keep talking about injury. He's fine. He's healthy. You're just going to speak this into existence.
No, I don't think he's ever going to be healthy.
This is why he's healthy right now. What do you mean?
Healthy-ish, I guess.
What's wrong with him?
I just think when you have all of those things happen to you, I don't know that any of those things actually go away.
My thing is he's as healthy as any other player that's played. Like all these guys got nicks and crannies and injuries. History. They all do. This is one of the reasons why I'm not concerned about Bryce Harper. The age thing the injury factor would concern me along with the age if that were the case right now. He's completely healthy. He's just going through a little bit of a slump that as long as he's healthy, he's going to fight his way out of it. That's why I'm not concerned. If this guy is healthy, he's going to fight his way out of this. Now, if there was a nagging injury, then I would sort of be like, you know what? Yeah, you're getting up there in age, man. That's when these things, you start getting these little nagging injuries. But I'm knocking on wood. I'm not speaking that into existence. He's perfectly fine over there at first base. He's on a damn lazy boy chair over there at first base. It's the easiest position to play out there.
Hold on,
well,
man. He's like a cat.
Well, not when Bowman and Trey Turner are throwing the ball to you. It's not the easiest job in the world. There's a lot of digging the ball out of the dirt and jumping and,
But that's the most he has to do over there.
Yeah, sure.
That's the most he has to do over there.
All right, 215-592-9494. How worried are you about Bryce Harper? And we do have a very different next question today. Mm-hmm. Very different. So yesterday during the show, we had a few moments where people. Now nobody wanted to ask me a question, but Jack.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that.
Yeah,
up.
well, it's
I could
true.
see you over there. You could be like, is anyone going to ask me anything?
Well, I don't care.
Well, I know if it's Sixer season, directed your way.
So for next question today, we're going to have an AMA Friday.
That's right.
Where you get to ask one of us. Can't be all three. One of us a question at the end. It can be about anything. It can be about Jack's paternity leave if you want.
The whole 2 weeks.
Yeah,
wow.
the whole.
How did the show survive? Wow.
It got a little better.
You could ask. No, it didn't. You could ask Ike if he really did start the fight down in Atlanta with
you
him.
can.
And then he'll say no, of course not. We'll bring on Trotter. He'll say no, of course not. And then people will be like, yeah, Ike. Why'd you start the fight with Trotter?
Yeah, absolutely. So for next question today, it is an AMA Friday. You can ask one of us anything and make it second. Please make it second. It is next question, not first question. How worried are you about Bryce Harper? 215-592-9494.